drive her home for a couple of weeks, and then they come out super cleaner. You gotta talk to Jeff, I can ask him tomorrow.
Oh, I said,
Yeah, they come out with sweeper.
Okay.
call a special meeting to order Thursday, August 27th. Roll call, please.
Mayor Anderson,
Here.
Tiedemann,
Here.
Deline,
Here.
Doden,
Present.
Boone,
Here.
Schott,
Here.
Spigen. Here.
Agenda was sent out yesterday with attachments. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Who moved to adopt said agenda?
Second.
Motion by Boone, and second to adopt the agenda. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Email didn't come through.
Opposed? Agenda's adopted. No visitors to be heard. New business, 2021 budget review. Proposed reviews.
Yeah, we'll just kind of go through it. Nothing here is in stone yet. We just kind of summarized everything that the department heads have brought in. Elaine and I have talked quite a bit. We've talked and met with quite a few of the department heads already to kind of get a few things lined up. We chose not to bring all of them in right now, so you guys have a chance to kind of run through this and see where we're at right now, and then we can make the changes as we go through this. But just a couple things of note I thought I'd just start out here and just let you guys know that I have budgeted a 2.5% across the board pay increase. And in one of these handouts, I just kind of gave you an idea of what that costs across for all full-time city employees. So you'll see that as we get further into this. And as far as the health insurance, we did increase. I have numbers in there that include a 10% increase for the group health coverage. And you're going to see in some departments, we have some that are going from single to family, some are going from not having insurance to family insurance, which obviously if you had a chance to read some of what it costs to for the health insurance on the city side, those are some pretty significant numbers, and it really does make an increase and change in some of those budgets that were fairly close to being budgeting out pretty even, and now when they jump up to from a single to a family insurance, they have quite a significant cost. So that's just some of the things that we're looking at. Other items that we looked at here, I think if you're looking, we'll kind of talk about the general fund revenue, which is going to be your first sheet. As you look at that, we talked about property taxes, and that's our biggest source of the transfers to balance the budget. And this year, we're given the CPI is 1.7%. The maximum you can take would be a 3% increase if that was what the CPI is, but we're less than that. So 1.7% is what I'm recommending that we take, which will amount to $11,723 extra. And we have growth in our community was 1.6% this year. That's going to be new homes, buildings, additions to things like that. So that will amount to another $11,033. So again, just a little over 22.8 in new general fund property taxes is what we'll ask for this year. One of our good surprises, I guess, is we dropped down the city sales tax from the first cent. We thought we were going to probably see a decrease in that with COVID-19, and we've talked several times. We're still seeing a fairly significant increase compared to where we thought we would be for the year. We had budgeted $445,000. Right now, we're on pace for between $510,000 and $515,000. So I am budgeting to bring in $475,000 next year, which would be a $30,000 increase. We know we're going to have a hit starting on July 1st. Internet is no longer taxable. So we just, with our Beresford municipal telephone, we budgeted about $500,000 for internet service next year. So we're not going to get $10,000 off of that. So those numbers have come out of some of the sales tax projections for next year. So we're seeing that now. This year also we're going to lose about $5,000 from where we would have been the first 6 months of the year, just because we can't tax that any longer. So
You're talking July of next year, not July.
no, it started this July 1st. Yeah. As of July 1st, we no longer tax that. So this is going to cost us right about $5,000 in sales tax revenue over the next 6 months, and then next next year, we're looking at a 10% or $10,000 reduction in.
How come my bill's been exactly the same then? All year
Because
long.
we treat you a little extra. So, yeah. Let's see, anything else that I want to bring up from that? So those are the, that's our third largest funding source there. And as we go through the rest of the things, I think you guys can take a look at some of those different charges on there. And if you have any questions, building permits has been a pretty solid source of income for us. And that seems like that's been pretty steady. We've got a lot of good building going on here. I can go through each one of those things, but you can go down and look at the franchise tax. Those we just kind of estimate based on what's happened over the last 3-4 years, kind of the direction they're going. I can tell you what's in all of that stuff, but it gets to be pretty lengthy if you want to know how all those kind of things are calculated.
Jerry, one, I have a question on
Mhm.
rental revenue.
Okay,
Why is that down so much?
rental revenue, which one is that?
It's started down for some
Oh,
of
down.
them, but we budgeted 60,000 and it's only at 22,000 so far year to date.
It's gonna be the farm ground for sure out there.
So that comes in
And,
October.
yeah, and then we're gonna have it for the, well, probably, I might be a little high on there, because I forgot we did redo the Verizon tower lease, so that's gonna be a little bit less. So I might have to, I'll circle that one, we'll take a little closer look at that.
There's also the telephone office building rent.
Oh, yeah,
It's gonna be in September's
Yep.
payments.
And that's how much?
16.
Something.
We just have a heavy.
So those
year.
are we're gonna have, but it's just timing on those items more than anything else. We got the liquor and malt beverage, the 10 and 2s down there. I think those both look pretty strong this year. You'll see I'm increasing the liquor from 9.5 to 11.5. And we talked about that last year. We thought that revenue would be dedicated for a new fire truck. So that's what I've done, is take that, whatever those are budgeted for, and just put that into the fire department budget to transfer to reserves for a new truck. So if you don't want that, we can move that out. Miscellaneous revenue, Elaine, you know why that's so high? That's one of the, I think it's talking about all of it, 58,000 compared to 22,000. And I'm sure there's an easy reason for it, but if you look back several years ago, earlier, there's some pretty significant numbers there higher. So those are some things that if you don't have a category, that's what we go to.
Yeah, insurance claims go in there.
Okay.
One year was probably high from swimming pool income, money from the pool, maybe.
Yeah, we've got the donations from the pool, most likely were in there at one time.
Driving range net
That'll
from
be
the
the
insurance
claim.
company. Lots of refunds.
Work on refund or something in there.
When we sold the fire truck, the 2000 Chevy Purple Wave, that went in here. And then the Bedco payments.
Okay, for the lamp.
Yep.
As we sell lots out at the bridges, those would go in there too. So that's probably a good chunk of it right there. So when we did that last year, we sold, I think we had over 200 and some thousand dollars of sales there. So Mike, I don't know if you know, the Ash Creek was financed by the city, so Bedco borrowed the money at 1%, and as those lots are sold, all the money goes back to the city, less cost of sales. So that's what we try to do, is to keep that up to date. And we got a revenue total on the loan, and they pay 1% at the end of the year. So
Jerry, since we're talking about that, is that money then put back into FIT, where we took it out of, or where's that revenue, miscellaneous revenue on those lots sales?
we're just in cash right now.
Just in the cash.
It's just sitting in a checking account?
We can move it back to the FIT if you want to.
Well, I'm just asking,
So,
because
I
I
mean,
think
that's,
that's,
we can do that.
The interest of
It'd
the
be
checking
nice to
account is better
eliminate
than
some of
FIT
those
right now.
negative lines on the fit list.
You said the interest where is better?
They have paid back.
the interest is better in the checking account versus fit?
Right now it is.
Oh, really?
Well, as long as it's earmarked, I mean, I just don't wanna spend it.
We got a running quote of it.
You got it.
Yeah, every time Bedco sells one, then I'll be laying up the list of how much food and what, how much, all that stuff, so.
Alright,
They're still on pace. If they sell their lots for what they're asking for, they'll have a little bit left over, so I don't think we're gonna lose on that. I think we'll be okay. We've got 2 lots that are sale pending on, both full offers on those, so.
I see.
They've only got right now, 2 single-family home lots, which are right on the number 6 tee box. And then we have 2 twin home lots is what they have left. Out there.
I didn't wanna get off the budget,
No,
I just had to
that's okay.
ask what the,
You know,
Those
it's
two
got a nine
lots,
probably
like Tim's, are those the same buyer or 2 separate buyers?
2 separate buyers.
Wow, I thought maybe one person was gonna buy 2
One's coming
lots.
from North Dakota and one's coming from Minneapolis.
Really? Even their liberal.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Alright. And transfers in right now, I have 750,000 budgeted, and we'll see where that comes from and all those good things we can go forward, so. That gives you kind of an idea on that, so. We want to flip over to council expenditures. I don't really want to spend a lot of time on there. Contingency funds is probably the biggest item. We had 40,000 in there this year, and I think a little bit of that was because of, we didn't know what we're going to be spending on the roads and all that kind of stuff, what might be happening, so we threw a little bit more in there just in case we needed some. Turned out we bought the Equinox out of there. I don't really show it in this budget right here, but it was purchased out, because when we take it out of the contingency, then we just increase another budget by that amount, so. But I didn't record that in here, but that would show less, current balance of probably around 16,000 or less. Some of these were done after, did up all these reports, so.
13,350.
13,350 is what we have left in there, so.
I got a question.
Out of the 40.
Right.
I got a question on that council line, elected official salary.
Yes.
Okay, last year, Teresa brought up on the page that the mayor brought up on the department heads, and we're gonna refer to that this year as far as pay increases and the mayor's increase. I don't see any increase here. I do see an increase for you on the second page. I have no idea who paid 6,700. The mayor, you put 200. I talked to a couple council members, and they're looking at 1,500 to 5,000. And we're looking at city council, 700 up to 4,000 per year. I don't see any increase at all on the elected official salary. I mean, just saying, that's why one item I'm referring to.
Totally up to you guys how you want to do that. If you want to make a motion, it wouldn't be effective until the next.
No, I mean, I know, but I mean, I'm just
Will come
saying.
in. So you guys can make that decision at any time that you want to, so that's up to you. So we can adjust that if you want to do that.
I'm okay with where it's at.
I'm getting off, but I think you guys need a pay raise. Anyway,
Yeah,
we can talk about that later.
Right, okay.
So, the mayor, I think other expenses is the crossing guard on there and some of those types of things and stuff. Mayor's mile, some of those type of things that don't fall underneath our subsidies. I guess it's up to the mayor each year if they're gonna have those events, if he wants to participate in them. And,
Yeah, that's for the crossing guard thing this year.
No, they don't have them for this year.
so that kind of runs through the mayor's budget a little bit. It's not many time you guys want, I don't know how much you want to get into all of this stuff, but,
The city administrator, full-time salary, the difference between 2020 budget, 2021, some of that has to do with the raise we gave you when we took away
right.
the vehicle allowance.
If you look down there, my mileage went from 4,500 down to 900 this year,
Right.
so that's the difference right there.
Yep.
So, and then all those numbers, otherwise there's not much there other than I try to budget a little bit in case I need a
Well, it's the
new
same.
printer or something like that.
I'm assuming you did the same budgeted increase for
Yeah,
the
everyone's
department heads as you
Yeah.
did the,
everyone's at 2.5 right now,
okay.
so. Or you're not, everyone's gonna be the same. The worksheet's attached there, so you can kind of see who's paid out of what budget and all that. Because you're gonna see some of the girls are paid out that work for the city hall. You might think they come out of the general fund, but they're gonna come out of water or sewer or electric or telephone or something like that. So each of those help pay those costs, so it's not all, general fund property taxes paying all those wages, so. And Elaine, I put hers in there, anything, Elaine, you wanna talk about, that might stand out a little bit? She did a good job, her budget's actually going down a little bit. So,
Is there anything that we can do with the credit card fees?
I'm working on it.
Okay, thank you.
We're getting closer to getting it.
Elaine, I asked if,
but we have to go into that,
What are
right?
you talking about, Troy?
What's that?
Credit card fees.
City Hall credit card.
I'm assuming that's the money that we pay to have the,
The credit card service, but then
The
we
credit card-
also
oh,
have
okay.
a revenue.
Yeah,
for
we've
credit
offset
card.
that.
Yes.
we charge,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the first page. Where is it?
3%.
Credit card convenience fees. So we have brought in $2,124 as of,
so it's close.
yeah.
We're just trying, originally we didn't cover our costs.
Right.
We were paying $3,000-4,000 a year.
Right.
Sure. And it just didn't make any sense that the taxpayers should have to foot the bill if someone doesn't wanna pay with the way we have set up.
I mean, are we,
You can directly withdraw it out of your checking account or any of that stuff at no charge. So.
right, are we paying fees still at like the liquor store and the golf course?
2.5%. At least that's what a
Yeah.
liquor store is.
Mhm.
Golf course.
So we got a better rate with the on and milk tips.
And none of the point of sale systems we put in would help offset any of that?
Just kind of put into your cost.
No, that's part of the selling point of these point of sale systems. They want the credit card business. You don't have to go there, but they try to give you the best rates and you stay with them.
Right.
So
We actually got a better rate.
we're budgeting for 172,000 shortfall on the, general fund.
Yes.
So where are we gonna cut 172,000?
You're kind of getting a little ahead here. But
No, it's right there.
I know.
Red and white.
We're going through this
We're
big
going
one.
through those and then we'll go back to that.
Well, why? We might forget about it.
So you will.
If we're through the,
it's in red, we'll see it.
You'll see it, yeah. So anyhow, so I think the biggest thing is we want to keep, we're on track for all the other budgets. City attorney, as Tom gets a stipend every month, and then if he does extra work, that is associated to the general fund, he would bill us out of the legal services here. If he does specialized work for like easements and things like that for the electric department, telephone department, we bill them, so we bill them some legal expenses in each of those departments too. General government building, that's just the city hall, taking care of city hall, the council chambers, all of that kind of stuff, so. I think, we don't have any big plans here for big improvements or anything.
Elaine, did you consider surveillance cameras in this?
It's not in here, but we still can.
We've got $1,000 for buildings and improvements.
Well, and
If
we
we
can
wanted
split
to.
it between the finance office and the
Right.
government building, because if we put it in here and there,
Okay, no, thanks.
I kind of figured we could just put it in, use one of the accounts, but
Right.
I'd like to see if we could maybe look at a better camera, one that had like a wider view.
I think Todd was looking into it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People sound too, some people.
Yeah, some sound.
Other people told me they can barely hear.
This one was cheap and it worked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're hard to come by sometimes, and we couldn't even get any more of that one there. We were gonna put them on our own desktops too, but we use that one for all the desktops. You couldn't get them.
Coming from China.
So it's right overseas.
Yep. That's the government building didn't really change much. Police department, this is probably one that we have the biggest swing in. Of course, I think you guys all know we have the fifth officer, and we didn't really know what was gonna happen here, but, just working my worksheet and figuring that they get paid for 43 hours of regular time with 2 hours of guaranteed overtime, at time and a half, plus I budgeted just 1 hour worth of overtime above the 45 hours in case they get called in or something like that. Plus these guys, you gotta remember, they get double pay on
Sundays.
Sundays. Double
No,
pay,
no,
no,
not
not
police.
Sundays, no, but double pay on holidays. If they work a holiday, they get double pay. What else? I mean, if they work after 5 o'clock on Friday through
No, Monday, 5 PM until,
Fridays.
5 PM to 5 AM is an extra $1 differential pay.
Okay, Friday,
Monday through Thursday, and then Friday 5 until
oh,
Monday morning at
So
5.
to me, that doesn't make any sense. That's scheduled shift work. Why would there be a shift premium for that?
It's in the union agreement.
So it's a negotiation.
there's nothing we can do about it, it's already been negotiated for the next union meeting, are you, who's ever on that, we'll get to address those. It's always a challenge.
For
I got a question on that. If they're approved 1 year for union, can you take them off for the next year if they're renegotiated?
Renegotiate everything.
You can renegotiate the whole contract.
There you go, Troy. Get your work cut
So,
out.
that's the reason the overtime pay actually went up a little bit, if you can see. That's what I budgeted in there, it's that guaranteed overtime, plus you add another officer. So there's a little bit more guaranteed there, plus the shift differentials and the weekend differentials and all that good stuff, so.
And I kinda thought, he talked a couple times about cutting as much overtime as possible if you got full timers, that's what I kept hearing.
Well, that pretty much is, I mean, you gotta remember, there's 5 guys that are getting 2 hours every week guaranteed, so you got 10 hours of guaranteed overtime every week, 52 weeks, so that's why you got that number in there.
Well, I'll talk to Mike about that because that's maybe something that in union negotiation time, if we have 5 full-time officers now, we shouldn't need them working 43 hours a week. 40 should be plenty. That's 200 hours of manpower to cover 168 hours in a week. That's 32 hours overlap. They gotta figure out a way to make it work without scheduled overtime.
Well, I think it's because Mike had a whole new schedule and he told us he had to rip it up basically because it wasn't in compliance with the union.
Right.
So that's something definitely
So
union time.
then his officers okay with just working a straight 40, because then we can make that adjustment possibly in the contract, in the union agreement, and they won't,
I think that's something they'll get.
that's not what.
Negotiation.
Yeah.
That's no
Yeah. For now, we can leave it the same way it is, I mean, if we can balance about our budget where we need it, I guess that would just save you right down the road, so.
What's his machinery and auto estimate?
Yeah.
New cameras and all that.
I should have, new cameras, they're 14,000 between the two of them for each one, and that's mounted and everything else. He does not have a new vehicle of any sort in there, so we're just gonna continue running. Now, the Dodge has got 180,000 miles on it right now.
Will the camera switch? Because I see your note here says that the Dodge will need to be replaced in 2022.
Yeah.
So will the camera?
They should switch over, it's just gonna be a matter of, switching them over, probably hiring someone to do that.
Okay, I just didn't want to put a camera on the dot.
There's gotta be some good ones, and I think, Mike, we'll apply for whatever funding is out there too, but I think he just wants to make sure we get something new, because, I mean, in this day and age, I think we need to make sure we have new cameras that are active and actively activated, and all that stuff, so.
Where does the money from COVID kick in on this? I remember talking about that at previous meetings,
Yeah.
how we were financing
Yeah.
some of this stuff.
That'll all come back once we make we're putting together our list right now of all the wages, all that kind of stuff for the police department, and any COVID costs that we had year to date,
Okay.
we'll submit them, but it has to be all done within 2020, it doesn't carry over to 2021.
Right.
But it should help, obviously, going forward, with cash on hand for sure.
What's the time frame that you can?
March 1st to the end of the year.
Okay.
And do you know how many dollars we're talking about?
It's about 300,000 is what we were thinking originally, just in the wages alone.
Okay.
Then we've got some minor expenses, and we're gonna try to throw some other wages in there, but a lot of these cities haven't had much luck. Actually, we just got a report, there's only about 3 cities that have actually got any money back.
A lot of denials.
Very, very small, but they're denying a lot of things that we thought would be approved, so. I thought we could probably get a new camera system and all that kind of stuff in here, but we don't want to order any of that until we know it's going to get approved. Because part of the reason we're got the cameras now is because of COVID, so. So we thought it would make a lot of sense, and I'm sure there's a lot of other cities that are thinking exactly the same way we are. It's time to upgrade your systems here and laptops and all that, but we've been told, don't do that yet.
I got a question here, it says transfer to reserves 50,000. Is that part of the liquor money that we give them, or what, where's the $50,000?
Where are we at, the fire department?
Right.
Okay, we're
We're not there yet.
Oh,
Or the police.
we're talking about police cameras yet.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
Okay, I'll go back.
I'm glad you're eager to get there, because
That's
we
right.
all want to get through this fast as we can. Yeah, fire department, I work with the cars pretty closely on all this stuff, he comes to my office on a regular basis. But, you can kind of take a look and where we're at, looks like some budgets we haven't spent a whole lot in there yet, especially machinery and vehicles, but that can be one repair sometimes for some of that equipment, so. But we don't spend unless it's absolutely necessary. And I think the biggest thing is the transfer to reserves. What we intend there is we've got $42,500 left that is owed against the 1989 ladder truck.
Right, that's all stated.
So 30,000 would be going back to pay that back,
Okay,
and leaving a balance of 12,500 for 2022. And then 20,000 would be the money that we got from the 10% and 2% markups in the liquor department.
right.
Well, that would be going for to purchase a new truck, so.
Okay,
So we're making an effort to try to assist them as best we can.
So the balance that's left here, is that coming from the liquor store tax, or is that above and beyond?
Balance.
Yeah, okay, you said that the fire truck is owed, 40,
We still have outstanding 42,500.
okay, wait a minute, hold on. 42,500, okay, that leaves about what? 7,500 on the balance?
12,000, yeah. Well, it'll be, after we make next year's payment, it'll be 12,500. So we could probably pay it all off, but this is just a way to kind of spread the cost a little bit.
Okay, and then liquor store money's going for the new truck,
That will be going towards a new truck.
not just.
We put it into a reserve account strictly for new equipment for the fire station.
All right, that's all.
We're not budgeting anything. If you look at the last 3 years, or 2 years, we budgeted for bunker gear, and we're talking to Cars, he thinks we've got everything pretty well updated, at least we're all for the new standards. So they do a little bit on their own, they pay for some of it, and then we pay for part of it also, so. Sometimes they'll buy the helmets and the boots, and then we pay for the actual gear, the coats and the bunker gear, and the coats and pants and all that stuff, so. All right. Street department. Got a little hard to read on your little laptops there, but, again, salaries are gonna be increased a little bit because we have added, 3 months for our new hire. What else do I have in there?
The health insurance score.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's part of that's there, of course, the wage increase, and then, health insurance, that's the big kicker a lot of times. Some of these guys didn't have it, some went to single, now they're going to families and what have you, so those are the ones that usually account for a significant amount of change. Looking down the rest of the way.
Other rentals doubled, why was that? Went from 5 to 10.
Oh, yeah, what he wants next year, we've got a mower up there, it's a 15-foot mower with a bath mower. So you can fold up 2 sides, and if you can hold just the middle 2 sections, or all 3 sections. We bought that quite a few years ago, but we were getting a tractor from the state, off the state bid, so we'd go out to John Deere, they'd let us take a tractor, and we'd get it for 200 hours a year. Well, they put that program for cities. The states can still do it, but the cities can't, so we don't get that anymore. So what he wants to do is rent one possibly next year, if that works. I said, well, we better show
The mower.
the tractor. We have the mower.
We own the mower, yeah.
So that would be the option. I don't know. I still think we can go after something. We'll talk to the DOT guys a little bit more and see what he wanted to put $5,000 extra in for having it. And I told him what we need to really make sure is that, is it worth our time? We can have somebody mow for $10 or $12 or $13 an hour on a 72-inch mower. How much space do we have that we need to have this big mower that we're mowing with? Around the lagoons, he said, and a couple other places. You know, we used to mow all that stuff down there in the south end of the golf course. And Ash Creek, well, that was a lot of mowing, so that worked out slicker than it could be down there. But now most of that's sold and somebody else is taking care of it.
They use it in the triangle out here on the curb.
That'd be one spot. So I'm working with them on that. I told them, I said, well, okay, we'll see. I mean, I'm not a big, I think if we can for what we mow, I hate to spend $5,000 renting something when we can probably do it cheaper if we just pay the wages.
Machinery and vehicles, we've been averaging about 15,000 a year in 17, 18, 19, and it looks like about that this year. But we budgeted 30 again. Do we need to budget 30? Or is that a spot where we can reduce our budget a little bit?
You know, as Jeff tells me, that, you know, as things get older, there's gonna be more repairs to be made, so that's strictly for repairs.
No.
So, what does it cost you? I know that one year we had to replace the articulating thing on I don't know if we had another loader or whatever, but it was like $10,000 just for that. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, if we have to fix one, again, if they don't spend it, it goes into it, it just rolls over to the next year in cash, so. I hope they don't, I mean, that's the goal, is we hope they don't have to use any of those numbers. As much equipment as they have, the big equipment that they have, one transmission on one of those trucks is probably gonna run $6,000 to $8,000.
And they did take, like way down at the bottom, or up from the bottom, I see a machinery and auto, they did take the 25,000 out that was budgeted last year. There's nothing budgeted this year, so. Okay.
I mean, Jeff still wants the loader. I said, well, next year you can come in if you wanna talk to him. I said, we're gonna adopt this budget without a loader. I don't think there's anyone here that wants to buy a new loader next year. So I said, if there's something comes up where you want to bring it up again, I mean, we can adjust the budget and do a supplemental budget appropriation and all that stuff, but that all has to go through you guys, so.
Did we look into an extended warranty?
I don't know if he has or not, he'll probably come back to us at the next meeting with that, I don't know.
Okay.
Does he have, you know, I talked to him today, I guess he never mentioned anything about it, but I didn't ask him either, so.
Okay.
Apologize on that.
Do you want me to
So,
take the mosquito control one?
Let's do it.
We're gonna leave that the
on the
same.
street one though, I see there's storm drainage maintenance, I'm assuming that's for the lining.
Storm sewer would not be the lining, no. Actually, we don't have anything budgeted in here for that.
Well-
Storm drain wouldn't have anything to do with what the sewer stuff is.
Okay, so then why did it go from 4,000 to 40,000?
4,000 to 40,000?
The
Yeah.
storm drainage maintenance.
I see that.
So you got street maintenance,
You guys
70
might
grand,
say, just where you at?
and we've spent 0.
Right in the
Kinda right
middle.
in the middle, storm drainage maintenance, it was 4,000 budgeted last year and it's 40,000 this year.
Wow. There you go, you just saved me
Would the chip sealing-
$36,000.
Would the chip sealing fall under the street maintenance projects?
Yes,
Okay,
That's
so
what-
Just maybe not.
that'll be
those bills are
70,000.
yet to come. Okay.
Yeah, we just got done. Good eye, that was just a carryover.
I thought that was for the sewer pipes. I don't,
That's
that's
why
what,
I wanted to
Yeah.
clarify, that was for the lining
I
stuff.
seen that, and I was like, I made a note, sewer repair.
Nice. Well, that helps, I'll tell you that, that's 36,000 less.
So like gravel and cement, it doesn't look like we spend that budget all the time.
Yeah, well, sand's gonna come when that's for snow. We'll mix the salt and sand together for snow removal.
We've
We
got
don't
one.
get that until we start mixing.
That's yet to come, okay.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a warm winter.
The gravel, some of that stuff doesn't heat by towards the fall,
Yeah.
that we use.
Yeah.
We use it, yeah, I mean, we still have enough gravel roads, yeah.
You might be using last year's, but he
Yeah.
replenishes.
Yep, they'll probably start hauling here towards the end of the year, just to replenish. We've only got so much storage room up there, so we don't bring extra in unless we actually need it. So even though we budget that much, we may not use all of it. So, well, they'll take $36,000 out of it, so that's a good one.
6,000 in the street department.
Now the mosquito.
We're gonna leave it the same.
They should have been pretty fortunate, there hasn't been much.
I talked to Jerry about
He's
it.
always one up.
The mosquito.
We've only sprayed twice, so. Yeah, make sure we buy at least $2,100.
We're just gonna hope for a dry year like this year and then we won't have to spend any.
Yeah, we get $2,100 isn't covering all of our expenses really, so we're never close to the 6,000. Parks
I got it.
Department, that's gonna be, probably our biggest, the biggest budget, that we're gonna have, increase. I don't know if there's much, most of it's just maintenance stuff, you know, ball field maintenance, we got 10,000 in there, so I mean, if we need to bring agri-line in, we do have some money budgeted. Now, that's to take care of all 3 fields, but, we do have some money budgeted in there, and of course, that's gonna be everything else, from talk to all the other items they have. Did they ever buy that new, something for the mound, you know?
Chalk, field drive. They
But
got
for the mound, they were gonna
special
buy,
line stuff for
they
the
didn't buy
mound.
that, they were talking about buying that last year, looking through the budget notes.
Kelly took it out,
Oh, we took it out, okay.
artificial mound.
Ah, there we go.
So
So,
sorry, the
That's
two
fine.
25, that includes the new bathroom and then also the fence?
Yes,
Okay.
10,000 for the fence.
okay,
And the bathrooms are each, we've got all the quotes and everything now to do them. We have to tear them down, we have to bring the water and sewer to wherever it needs to be, so our guys can do that, at least dig it in. But we got a plumber that's gonna plumb everything, and then we got other guys that'll level it off. Down Evers made some, level them off so that the sites are level.
so this is just the bathroom for just the park, not the golf course.
Both of them.
Okay, so what is the total estimate for both?
Total estimate for both. Put that in here somewhere. The Buell Park is 142,991.
Okay,
And then,
so really then next year's budget only needs to be 125, because you already have 100 in there for this year, which we're gonna transfer to reserves.
it'll go, we're just gonna keep it as cash on hand.
Why would you do that? Why not transfer it?
Because
it's budgeted.
It's not really a budgeted transfer either, so.
Right.
It was just unspent money, so we can just leave that as a cash item, and then we'll take it out as a,
But it skews next year's budget. Why can't we reduce that to 125?
The way it'll
we're
work,
still
Troy,
gonna,
is
we're still gonna bring the
we
$125 reserve.
leave it in cash as extra cash this year, and that deficit that you're seeing is gonna have to get filled with applied cash, which is extra cash from prior years, including this year, getting applied up to the general fund to,
So
Make
this,
that
this
deficit.
172, 100 of that is right here. And
Exactly.
36 was your typo.
yes.
It just doesn't look clean to me.
Well,
I don't like seeing
okay.
red ink.
Oh,
The
no,
other
you
thing
know,
I would suggest maybe is the one at the golf course should maybe go on the golf course budget under the enterprise fund instead of under the general fund.
That'll make that golf course budget really look
And
bad.
I understand that it will, but
And
then it's less cash applied that we have to put in our,
We could put half of it in there, but you're gonna still have to find money to come from somewhere else to pay for it, so. Cause, we're not gonna, when we get to the golf course budget, we don't have any money to pay for this at all.
right, but I just think it's more.
So,
clear.
you know, at the end of the year, you're gonna have to say, we lost 120,000 on the golf course, which budget are we gonna take it out of?
But
That
if we
we
know,
don't
if we
have
know
like-
where the money's coming from and what it's for, I mean, if it's coming out of the park budget, but it's part of the park
It's like that,
golf
too.
course,
It's like that, right there, so.
I mean, it's kinda,
It's a mind game to try and help balance the general fund, put it that way. I move
I
that
don't like that idea,
lost
trying to figure out where the golf
golf
course is gonna come from.
budget.
That's been a big thorn in Todd's side, if you remember, when we were owed $1.5 million of back loans and all that for the golf course over the last, I should have said 1.2 million for the last 2 years. That probably won't come back to him.
But what's the
That's what we
difference
put
if
in
we
our audit
put it
reports.
on the golf course budget and use general funds to supplement at the end of the year, instead of showing it in our general fund budget? You know, at the end of the year, when we have to cover negative cash, that's when we can say that the general fund, or if there's a bunch of second penny sales tax or something, you know, then we can use that cash to cover negative cash in the golf course. I don't know, it's just my
I mean,
thoughts.
the golf
and-
course, the second penny is really only supposed to be used for debt service, so.
Well, sorry, that was just a
you know, that's-
bad example.
If we were, yeah, if we were to use that, we'd be borrowing for the debt service reserve account. I'll show differently. I don't know, I mean, to me, it was a little cleaner if we just did it through the general fund, but.
Like having a single line item makes,
Otherwise, we're gonna have to do some finagling to figure out who, we can put it in the golf course fund, or we can go half and half, but still, at the end of the day, we gotta figure out who's gonna pay for the negative in the golf course balance.
it's almost like writing an IOU at the end of the year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, basically, the auditor to come and say, well, the telephone, or the electric company, the golf course was short cash $100,000, so now we have to put an IOU, or we're gonna do a loan, it'll show up as a loan or a negative on audit report. So, then after about 5 years, they say, well, why don't, if you're not gonna pay those loans back, why don't you just get rid of them so we don't have to continue to carry that? So you guys have the okay to do that. So that's.
Quarter by
that's the
the
issue.
restroom.
It is adjacent.
It is.
And I do believe it would be an asset to that walking path.
And I think the one you picked out is gonna fit in really well down there, so.
I think it's gonna get used 60-40.
Maybe we should make people pay to use it.
Like in Europe, when we were in Europe, we had to pay to use that. Every place we went.
TP dispenser.
All right, well, that's a big item in there, obviously. Swimming pool. Swimming pool, you know, we're closing really, wages are, we don't have the last,
I think.
couple weeks of wages in here,
I think
but,
we're at like 25,000
okay.
for wages.
So,
Do we have maintenance items that we need to look at as a pool?
well, I think the biggest thing is gonna be repainting it probably. I think they told us when we built the thing, it'd probably be 5 years where you have to come in here, sandblast it and repaint the whole thing. Greg wanted to look at it this year, so Elaine and I went out and we walked around there. There's some spots that were peeling just like there were last year, but I didn't think it was overwhelming. The stuff that he did touch up looked like it held pretty good stuff. So I think these are new spots. And there's spots out there that are designed to, every year, there's some expansion joints that are gonna kind of show some cracking along that. And that's part of the pool, how it doesn't, so it doesn't buckle, so. But we are, what we're trying to do is transfer some to reserves. It's gonna be about $32,000 to paint it, to have sandblasted and repaint it. And we're gonna try to put $10,000 in there this next year. And we'll get 5,000, I think, going in this year, another 10, so we'll get 15, so we're halfway there. If we choose to paint in 2022, we could. If we think we can wait one more year, we could wait till 2023. What we do is we just go in and we touch up right now. So, I just thought that it's
I think there were
awful
some things
early.
that they had on the list to look at, but they weren't major.
No.
Besides it.
Everything that we painted held, it looked like to me. What's gonna happen this winter, once the ice is in there and it starts moving a little bit, it rubs along those walls and that's what starts peeling, so. But
I think there's a lot of
big
little things that can be taken care of, and I bet when Greg's already gonna move there, since the pool's been empty there, I've seen they're working on that a couple times.
Yeah. I know one of the things, in the pool he's got in here, he wants to finish, what's that? Irrigation, it's underneath. How much was it? 85, yeah. He's got about $6,000 to finish the irrigation out front, not all the way around the west side, but this is the stuff that he's working on right now. I think he's putting in a couple of cement pads that'll take him from we got 2 fences there that open up gates, so he's gonna put some concrete pad down there. Then he's gonna fill that in, so. I'd like to see a couple benches out there on that one side too, for people that want to pull up in the parking lot and sit down and watch their grandkids swim, so they don't have to go in. I don't know if that's something that, I think we could just work them in the budget somewhere, but when he's doing some of this, maybe that might be an idea this year, even to, we might have a few bit extra bucks if we could put 3 or 4 benches out there on a concrete pad, like we used to have years ago. A lot of people would sit out there, the old timers. We're getting there now. So anyhow, that's what's in that budget. What's up a little bit, but looks like I'm trying to put some money in reserves here, so I didn't pay it this year, but try to do it a couple years now. Community subsidies, Art, this is one of your favorites, so we'll,
Let Art take it?
well, Art might want to take this one and go with it. Just, Donnie German brought one in here just a little bit ago, this morning, okay. This morning, Lane gave it to me. He represents the Beresford Cemetery Association. He says they have a checking account balance of $1,000 in their association. They pay $3,000 to $4,000 a year for mowing. They sell $500 to $1,500 a year in graves, so it looks like they're gonna be short next year. So he just wanted us to consider them. That's the Beresford Cemetery Association. I don't think that's the Catholics or the Lutherans. I think this is a city cemetery. We don't have anything to do with it actually. We've never, ever done anything with it.
Is this one legit for buying?
No, this is out here, the big one.
It's in the center,
Yeah.
it's in the center out there. You got the Catholics on the west and Emmanuel. is on the-
East of it.
Yeah.
You think there'd be enough fees coming in and stuff right there?
I do the Emmanuels
Oh, you do?
and, we break
I'm
even.
like, yeah, I'm Burger King.
By Burger, yeah.
It doesn't cost us any more, but
Oh, on the other side.
I have a lot of memorials
Cool.
and,
I didn't know.
you know, that kind of money comes in
Yeah, through the
church.
Tree.
Whether that's for,
So the Beresford Cemetery Association, who would they be associated with? Would they be any church at all?
That's where they requested.
they ask for donations. They do ask for donations from different churches.
Jerry, what was it dollar amount you wanted?
He didn't put a dollar amount in there, but I'm just saying that they got $1,000 and if they only bring in 1,500, that's 2,500. And it costs them 3,000 to 4,000 the most, so I'd probably anything $1,000 would sure help them, but. Would each of the other cemetery associations come in and would you suppose, the Lutherans and the Catholics?
And take it over.
No, just, you think they would ask for substitutes also?
Emmanuel's fine. I don't know what the Catholics are like. I know that, a lot of the small country cemeteries struggle.
I didn't know
But
Well, probably a lot of volunteers, I'm guessing.
they have a lot of volunteer work.
that.
I don't know what to tell you on that. I mean,
You got
Chris Savvy and Lyle Savvy are on the board of the Beresford Cemetery and Don Drury. I know those three are on the board.
Do you anticipate more substitute requests coming in?
No, this is kind of surprising. Well, I shouldn't say that, we don't have anything from yeah, we'll definitely, community education, PRC, I should change that too. PRC and the Beresford Baseball Association, I'm sure will come in. There goes your 36,000. And I did send him a reminder,
Twice.
several reminders, bring it
So
in.
we'll have more than forms, more requests in at the next meeting.
I would say, I'm pretty certain that he'll be bringing something in, wouldn't you guys?
Yeah.
Maybe here on the board.
600.
I would.
I would say you're gonna get 2710 again.
I'm sure.
Do we wanna,
Did we,
do we wanna defer on this one until all the subsidies are entered and then have the council decide the amounts based on the discussion we had a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Because right now we're just, we don't, we don't.
I don't have anything, we tried, but we didn't get nothing.
I think we just defer this.
All right. So library. We talked to Jane at all, or I haven't like talked to her. She usually has a nice, well, the only,
Much other than that.
yeah.
Bathroom with ditch lamp.
somewhere else, this part of the way.
I think the biggest thing that Jane wants to do is under buildings and improvements, you know, the old, council room was at, behind that to the west, there's a room that's never been improved since we bought the thing. The Lions store all their stuff back there, there's like an upper level, where they store some things, that's where all the old republics are at, and a bunch of the other books that we have, that are just kind of outdated, or they're either putting them in, taking them out, whatever they're doing, it's just a place to store a lot of stuff. And she would like to clean that mess up, it's kind of a mess right now, so she'd like to see us budget some money for that. And I think they're gonna take some money out of their own library funds and put some air conditioning back there. She wants climate control for some of the books that are stored back there, so that's really the only thing else there that she was looking at. Yeah.
See a dollar amount?
So we budgeted $9,000 in there. She's actually got an estimate of 80
maybe 3.
maybe 300.
You're actually taking money out of our checking account and savings account for some of the air conditioning stuff.
She's gonna pay for part of it, so I think she's asking the city to pay up to 9,000 on it.
Is she gonna use that 6,000 we budgeted last year?
I don't know what she's got planned. We told her not to spend anything this year, so I'm guessing not. So everything's kind of on hold right now.
That'll carry over then?
It would, yeah. Well, it'll carry over in the general fund.
They,
So,
That goes back to the bathroom thing.
Yeah, so it'll be cash on hand is what it's gonna be at the end of the
Okay.
we're done with our budget.
Gotcha.
So when I tell you it's gonna be 170,000, that's where some of that money that we didn't spend would be put aside.
Okay.
It's basically, you got $170,000 more in your checking account, we'll talk about that.
and I know that they are not gonna have near the, like, book fees, late fees, because they're not charging any this year.
That's right. I think it's some donations every once in a while. Yeah, I think if she went out and asked, she'd probably get some money. I don't think she needed to. Planning and zoning, not much change there, you know. We make enough in fees to take care of all of our costs from there, so. Gary doesn't, we don't do a whole lot there, you know. Girls here at City Hall and I take care of pretty much all the day-to-day stuff, so it's not a big deal there, so. Now, if you go back to your first page there, and that just gives you a summary of what we just went through. Talks about how much revenue we intend to bring in, the expenditures, and the cash flow. Right now, we were $172,000 short from what we intended. So that 172,000 would actually be from that cash on hand that we have left over, the 100,000. The 4,000 that we start, 6,000 we save in the library. There's a bunch of numbers there that I put together. Streets, I think we're gonna be $20,000 to the good on the streets or more. Libraries can probably have a cash surplus of 10,000. The baseball association, if you remember, they only took 5,000 of their 10, so that gives us 5,000. Our pool's gonna be about $40,000 less than they spent last year, which is all. So that won't be spent at the park. We're gonna be at least $100,000 under, and contingency fund will probably be $10,000 under, and we should have sales tax growth of about $65,000 more than budgeted. So you throw those two numbers together, that leaves us about $250,000 extra to work with, and that's where that $172,000 should come from. So that's all. That's the primary stuff that we need to concentrate on. That's the one that we're going to have the first reading, second reading in September. Those numbers there. The unknowns that we have right now are going to be your community subsidies. We know that's going to change. We found $36,000 to the good in the streets. Yeah. So we'll make that correction.
Those basically just offset.
Yeah, which is going to offset most likely the two requests from PRC and Baseball Association. So it'll be real similar to that. We are going to put some money in reserves. We got $140,000 that will be going into reserves out of those departments. So it looks like a big number, but when you think about what we're rolling to next year, we did a good job, I think, of not spending where everyone cut back a little bit, and as they were asked to. So I think we're going to be in a good shape to roll some of these dollars and be able to cover all of our costs without looking to take any more from any of the other departments. So. And then we can, if you guys want to roll on down to the enterprise accounts, we'll do that. Liquor store, we'll start right there. And, you know, Elaine and I and Allie all kind of messed around with these numbers a little bit. And, I'm kind of a guy that goes off of prior history. I don't want to call 2019 and 2020 our best years, but 2019 wasn't so bad. We did $365,000 in revenue. You know, now that we'll have some new staffing coming in next year, and they should be up and running. I think we got some good marketing things where City Hall's been real active in keeping things rolling over there and more involved. So I think I don't see any reason that we can't increase our revenue by at least 25,000-30,000 over last year. That's not a big number. That's $3,000 a month. We figure that per day, it's not a lot of dollars. I think those are some doable numbers. We know we're going to be, everything's getting billed for. We're going to have an inventory control system, so we know what our pricing is going to be. Everything's going to be priced accordingly. So we keep our profit margins where we need to be. We're going to be watching what's the freebies and all that kind of stuff are going to be monitored. So anyhow, I think that is a doable deal. I sure hope it is. So those are the revenue numbers. There's about 393. Take a look at them, and you compare them back to 2009s and 2010s where we were doing 500 and 400 and 400 and $400,000 here in your house. So, prices have went up, cost of beers went up, and we're doing $100,000 less. So that should be something that we should definitely strive for. All the salaries and stuff, you can see what a couple did at a full-time salary, 41.6. Overtime, about I think 2.5% if I remember right. And we have some, obviously we have some part-time wages. Most of our staffing, a lot of our night staffing is going to be part-time stuff. We're going to work on some schedules. We got a lot of things that are coming up with the new person coming on board as soon as we can. So
You see that the transfer out of 25, just to make sure everybody sees that. So when you see that there's only a $2,000 difference,
right.
Actually budgeting for $27,000 in profit.
Absolutely. Yep. And we included some things in here too. $15,000 for buildings and grounds.
Yeah, we need to do some stuff over there.
And they just, and most of this is maintenance item. What we want to do is the front facade, if you look at that, it's a lot of wood and it's falling apart. We'd like to replace some of that, repaint the whole building, for sure. The parking lot, tear everything out that's there and come in with the new asphalt and have our guys lay that. So it's not that big a parking lot, it's not that much asphalt, it's just going to take some time. So that's why the number, if we were to hire that out, it'd probably be $20,000 in itself. If we can do that, we can probably buy the materials for $7,000 to $8,000, and we just have to do the work ourselves. So trying to save some money there, as long as the street guys have more time. This year would not have been a good year.
I think you're gonna find that redoing the front of that is gonna be more expensive.
Could be.
So that might be something we actually need to put a solid estimate, and it may not get done next year. It's not gonna get covered under the 15, I don't think. Unless we're having a stellar year next year when we decide to spend the extra money.
Well, we do have money in a savings account, we do a lottery account that we could take some of that money and actually do it too if we want to. So we won't have to actually take out the revenues here, some savings that we have that we don't even account for on this page. So.
What's in the video lottery, under 100,000, is it? 75 or something like that?
I can't remember right now.
That should be enough to do quite a lot.
Well, otherwise, I use percentages as far as market goes. So if you're selling beer at $3, you're buying it for 30% of that. So that's kind of the way we looked at that. On sale and off sale, those are some. And liquor's probably a 25% cost based on what you're paying. On sale, off sale, probably in that 20 to 25% range. The way I'm marked up. It just depends on what we're buying it at and where we're at with some of that stuff. So.
Has your point of sale system been in long enough to do any type of tracking of anything yet, where you're seeing any trends or anything that?
So it was June 23rd that it was put into place, and so we're seeing like we pretty much have July's data,
Right.
And a good portion of August, but you can really see what our big sellers are, and which is helping with ordering of
Sure.
like why, but it's coming. But
Inventory's not in there yet.
no, it is not. We need a couple
Yeah.
months to get going before inventory can just make sure all the SKUs are in there.
So that'll be coming for next year for sure. these gals have been spending a lot more time over there, I think, than they thought they were going to, but
I know
it's
that
gonna be
place
better when we
more
get
than
stuff
I ever
running.
wanted to.
Just a heads up, when we hire someone, we don't wanna hire someone that needs complete training.
We always hire team employees. Team-oriented people, right, Elaine?
Right,
We all just pitch in where we have to.
we have been.
That's right, I know. That's
Yeah,
right. We hire the right,
I
we hire the right kind
no,
of people.
Close. I did get someone a beer. I
Oh,
did not cook pizza. I did get someone a beer.
what you charge them?
No, I left the part-time.
I'm sure they are on it. Alright.
I gave them a free one.
Okay.
These-
Thank you.
Yeah, these accounts here we're looking at now don't have to be done at the same time as the others, because it gives us these are a little harder to estimate here through the middle of the year. Water, obviously, we still got a big month of water billing to go here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Dillon.
81,000 in the video lottery account.
I'm still trying to keep my grass a little bit green. It's getting tougher.
There's some competition amongst at least
I
one person there.
need to have a hoofer come out and redo my sprinkler system.
You need to go down the ground inside
I got
the
some
lights.
Yeah, where the water's getting put down.
Yeah,
Him and
We'll drive by and you'll see it.
Jim Fetters,
It's like,
they're all
what's the deal
perfect.
with the big old brown spot?
Not mine. My gas spot.
Yep.
My weeds are even.
The water department, we probably overestimated a little bit here. This year we're gonna be pretty close. Year before we overestimated a little bit, because actually for 2 years ago, 2018 and 19, we overestimated what we would need, but we had ample rain in those 2 years, if you remember. This year, I think we're gonna be pretty much spot on with our numbers, so. So we really didn't change the budget from last year to this year at all, so I think that's a pretty safe number right now. Obviously, we're not looking to raise any rates in the water department at all. If we do any improvements, they'd be in that state water plant, and we'll deal with them at the time, so. These aren't tax, these are not property tax or supporting accounts, these are all different accounts. Water department expenditures. We actually took Keith out of Keith's our highest paid person. We took him out of the sewer.
Water. No, excuse me,
We
sewer.
took him out of the sewer, moved him over to the water because,
That was nice.
well, it was the overtime that we paid him for reading the meters. It was going into the sewer department or you were taken out of the water.
No, it was going up sewer.
Sewer, so we thought it made sense to put him over into this.
No, I
water
actually
department.
meant to take him out of the sewer.
Oh, that was nice of you.
Didn't get that.
So that's why the
He was
overtime.
thinking money, I was thinking.
I got it.
I got it.
What's the,
That's why the overtime pay went up considerably.
still
So what else we got? There's not much else in here. I mean, it's mostly your Lewis and Clark fees. That's on the back page. Anything in there stick out to anybody, let me know. Water mains is one thing that's one thing I've got highlighted here to talk to them about a little further. Just, we haven't spent anywhere near $20,000 in the last 11 years, so. And wells and pumps might be another one I'd probably ask about. Now, one thing, we still run the wells, the 2 wells that we have that are usable, 3 miles east of town.
What's that?
Once a month, is it once a month?
We have to, right?
We do, yeah. So that increases our electric bill a little bit, and if we don't run it, then they're probably gonna take that water rights away from us. So we run that, make sure everything's up and running, and the 3rd well is just, that one we'll probably never run again. We never ran it hardly at all when we were treating our own water, because the quality of the water is so much different than the other 2 wells.
Where's the water getting pumped to when we're
We
running?
pump it right down past the gun club in that area. We just run it out
Right
right now.
down to the ground?
It runs down into the storm sewer and then it's all the way down behind probably Elaine's house.
That's a lot of pipe. That's a lot of pipe. Wait, why can't, yeah. Exactly, can we run it over to my house?
Yeah, that'd be a good question.
So-
No,
If there's water main money that's been carried over for a decade, has that been used for like the water tower?
Yeah, it's just whatever's cash is on hand. What I don't know what we have on hand in there right now, but it's probably not a big balance, because we actually, when we painted the water tower, we took that cash down considerably, so.
I mean, is that something we should look at? We talked last meeting about the water meters themselves and prepping them for more automated type of meter. Would that be a better use of that?
Yeah, well, it'd be a start. I feel it wouldn't be nearly enough to cover all the costs.
No, I mean, but just
Yeah,
if we're 80% of the way on replacing
Right.
water meters and 90% of the way,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
would
you're
it
right.
to 100?
it'd be make more sense to get all of our water meters replaced. And then once we do get the automated stuff, then all we have to do is just put the top on them or whatever they attach
Just
it
to
to the
remind
top.
everybody that last year we voted to run the waters South Dakota fit balance negative by 111,000 to cover the water tower. So we're still, their cash balance in the checking account is only 71,000 at the end of July, and they still owe fit 111,000. So we're still deficit 40,000.
So that, if our numbers are right, 684 to 657, we might have enough in there to put that into reserve, but should transfer it back and pay a portion of it back. But remember, we also talked, this is why I didn't put anything in there, we also talked about paying Lewis and Clark part of that money back too.
Yeah, we got that
So,
111,000.
111,000, so we were talking about, that's why I kind of left that one up to you guys. Do pay one off or the other one off. We can think about that, but I was hoping that we.
Is that 111 accruing interest at Lewis and Clark?
Yes, yes.
And well, we should pay that one before the reserve balance.
I think what we told them is we try to get, maybe over a 4-year period or 3-year period paid off.
Well, like at the end of the year, if we have it, we just do it.
Yeah.
Why keep paying interest on it?
I agree with Troy.
I mean, if the cash balance or the cash on hand increased a bunch this year.
We can do that, I mean, that's, with this enterprise account, we can do that, so.
Right.
I got a question, about the meters. I talked to Keith several times, plus he told us several times here, he's looking to retire in about 2 years, so if he retires, who's gonna read the meters? So we should have some type of plan to maybe get the meters put in, because I don't think we wanna hire anybody else to do it.
That'll be on that state water plan that you're gonna put together, Art.
Oh,
We're gonna list some of our major projects, and they'll stay on for 3 years. If the funding's out there and it's available, for water projects, we would qualify for loan forgiveness of up to 50% of the cost.
even
And
if
it's
the meters.
it's a 2% loan, roughly 1.875 to 2 point, it just depends on if you wanna go 20, 30, or 40 years, so. So we would probably qualify for loan forgiveness on that side. So if the full project was, let's say, 400,000, we get 200,000 forgiven. We would borrow the other 200,000 and we'd have what they call surcharge on your water bill, and it might be a couple dollars per person per month for the next 20 years. If you wanna go that way.
The sewer rate.
It might be $1, who knows?
We got till March to work something on or something.
Yeah, it's, with the state water plan, they take applications, typically they want by the end of October. But, if they have other situations, they'll speed you up, and with our situation with the sanitary sewer, they're gonna probably take us whenever we get there. As a lot of these small towns, because all these small towns are having the same issue. When the DENR changes the rules and regulations about dumping, and a lot of small towns, just like us, last couple of years, have been dumping our holding ponds because it's so wet. And
So you're saying we can add the water meter onto that bill?
yes, yeah, the state water plan will take care of sewer and water.
Okay,
Yeah, the DENR approves all of them. A
okay.
lot of times they go hand in hand, kind of, if you're doing water or sewer work, you're gonna redo your water meters at the same time.
Right.
The only thing that they don't take care of is the roads on top of them typically, and that's what really is the high price stuff.
Okay.
So anyhow, I think we can decide how we want to deal with that. Whatever assets we have at the end of the year, if we want to take it and pay down the second debt, or if we want to send that to the. All right. Electric budget. Actually, I took just trending here a little bit. bit where we've been and where we're going. Probably a little more conservative than we were last year as far as budget goes. We're just a little bit higher than what the 2019 budget was for revenue. Just some trends. And I guess I hope it goes higher than that. This year we should have a pretty good year. I just know with my own personal electric bill is that our business is in a home very high the last couple months, so I'm guessing everyone else is probably seeing the same thing as we are, but we're not seeing all those revenues yet. So as of 7/31, I mean, if we want to pull numbers now, we'll see that we have a pretty good July, no, June.
Yes.
Yeah, so the big numbers are gonna start coming in, but we can't always, that hopefully doesn't happen every year, but the people that, we want it as a business at the same time, I'm sure our customers just spending money on something other than electricity, so.
Machinery and auto,
Yes.
you got 60,000 budgeted last year, we're budgeting 25.
Yep.
What's Mike wanting to put in there?
But that would be a new dump truck,
You lost me at new.
different dump truck.
I said that, you talking about that 1-ton dump truck?
Yes.
Yeah, you can take that out of there. Nathan and I went out and drove that truck. I think we thought it was fine.
Seemed to work.
Yep. The discussion I had with Mike about 4 months ago on that truck was, we can spend money to fix it if something breaks down. He asked about replacing it because what if it's getting old? What if it breaks down? What happens if it breaks down? Well, you fix it. We can fix it for less than replacing it. So
We also have other dump trucks in town.
we also have other dump trucks. They can share it through, from department to department, so. I don't think we should be buying anything. I think we should, have a freeze on buying or adding any new assets. We have lines of machinery and autos next year, so.
We've had several discussions about it.
Yep. So I'd be in favor of winding that back down to 25. Is that just machinery and auto, is that just purchases or is that repairs?
No, that's gonna be just new equipment.
So really you shouldn't hardly have anything in there then?
No. Because I believe 60,000 was just for the dump truck.
Because there was another line item here for repairs, correct?
Yep.
Where was that at again?
Could be probably halfway down.
Machinery and vehicles is the repair side of it.
It's above half.
Machinery and vehicle repairs, 20,000. I mean, we've only spent 3,500 so far this year on fixing what we have, so it must be in good shape.
And I think that would give us a good deal on their maintenance.
Yeah. I'm not in favor of buying any new vehicles next year.
We've told other departments the same thing.
Right.
Now, Jay was told, and I know Mike's been told, that until we figure out where we're at, the revenue coming in and our expenses,
Yeah.
we're gonna hold off on any equipment purchases because we knew we were gonna,
Well,
double the amount that we're paying every
I think
as far as I'm
also,
concerned, machinery and auto, you can wind that down to about 10,000. Because really, what does he need to buy?
especially with this big project going on, we don't need to be buying any more vehicles if they operate just fine. We've got an $8 million substation to pay.
Didn't we kind of tell Mike, the police chief, that maybe we can get a used vehicle or something?
No. Mike's not asking for another patrol car next year.
So Troy, are you saying bring that down to 10,000?
Yeah, because that's for new purchases. That line item is for new equipment only, not even repairs.
I just didn't know if you were wanting to take it to zero or
Well,
just bring
as
it
far as I'm
down.
concerned, we could take it to zero, but maybe they need a new push mower or something for around the shop. Maybe we could leave $1,000 in there.
you got a new riding lawnmower.
That's it.
Oh, well, we should be good then.
And they got a new Ranger, which I've heard a lot of grief about.
Oh, yeah. And then we put tracks on it.
Uh-huh.
Just to plow.
So there's $20,000 budgeted here for vehicle repairs. I think we're fine. I agree, maybe we can move it to zero.
So is the consensus zero?
Yeah.
I'm okay with zero. Yep.
I mean, he was, I mean, I can talk to you guys about it if you need something.
Well, he does need new cameras, I heard that.
He needs cameras.
He needs cameras, right? Remember he admitted that the cameras out there and just,
Oh, yeah, they are.
they're like,
That's under building
They're
reports.
recording or
that's
something.
the police, so.
Yeah.
Are we having issues with people stealing electrical wire or anything else? Because it's all in vents, right?
Yeah.
Nothing that we shouldn't, but.
It's like we're hearing zero there.
All right, well,
Yep.
I'll just put that probably into a transfer to reserve or going to, which, I mean, might put it in the reserve then.
Sounds good.
Whatever we don't.
Or else,
Is
Court
this
interest.
159?
There you go.
can you touch base with them and make sure there wasn't something that
Oh, sorry.
we don't know about?
That was the only thing.
That was the only thing that he told me. I thought I was happy.
Oh.
That was the same amount that he was asking us about, for earlier this spring. He
Yeah, he
was
was
going
going
to
to
truck for
truck
60 grand in Wisconsin, he wanted to replace this Dodge dump truck that we have. This 1-ton dump truck.
What's the haul?
I went and took it for a drive, it's fine. You don't need to go down the interstate with it.
You're moving the 60,000 into transfer to reserves instead?
That's what I think.
He's like, what if the training goes out? And then we
I'd
spend
rather
3 or 4
not
grand
say
and
it.
just put new training.
Adjust it down.
Well,
Why
we
would you want to
budgeted for
spend,
revenue is
new
plenty
money
to cover
on
it.
an old
so,
truck?
yeah, that
It's
was-
cheaper than
We've
new.
already got it covered in the Japanese side.
Oh, when did we do that?
2 years ago.
When did you do that?
I think it's fine for what we do.
It's good.
What happened 2 years ago?
New training.
New training in that same truck.
Oh,
I think we're good.
Why do we pay so much for telephone for some of these offices?
I saw that one, that too.
So,
Cell phones and then office phones.
Is that like long distance or something, or?
Just your service and internet is in there.
Because like the
Like,
electric department, they have telephone, $8,500 a year.
seems like a lot.
even like Jerry, like I remember your number was like $3,100.
Yeah.
Do they all have cell phones or just the guy that's on call?
My cell phone
Every
was like
single one.
$35 a month, but I get probably half the one that's in the city.
I'm not saying,
Can't,
just that number.
just be on call phone?
Yeah, I look at that one too. It seems like it's awful high.
So your budget covers a couple of the lines in
Right.
City Hall, along with my
Right.
budget too.
Right, I guess what I was thinking is I can see why City Hall needs long distance. I get that. But I wouldn't think any of the other offices would need long distance because they've got a cell phone.
I don't know why the other offices need,
I could add them to my plan for $40 each.
I mean, is there?
That's all ours is 35. So I don't know if they're 35 to 40.
I don't see why any other offices, like, I don't know why the street department and the electric guys need a landline at their office if they've all got cell phones.
And cable TV, why do we need that down
Well, I think
at the
they-
electric
They
department?
took
I
that
think
out.
they do have
Oh, okay.
call in and transfers
Yeah.
to their.
Oh, their 763 number.
Yeah, like the after hours, the transfers, I think they can transfer.
So
And
just-
I get it, and I get that it's not a big deal I mean, it's not a lot of money in the department, but if you add it up and over all the departments, it seems like there's gotta be
You
a
understand,
simpler
this
solution.
take revenue away from VMTC.
Oh, look, let's look at that. Let's look at
So
our.
just the
yeah.
monthly BMTC is 400, around 400. And then the cell phone to Verizon is 200 a month.
$400 for what?
Well, it'd be their landline, internet, and I think they've got a line out of the substation.
They would dedicate a line.
Yeah,
They do.
and
A
then
stable line of
yeah,
some sort.
they've got
They probably have internet out of all the
Probably.
They
substations.
skate us, they can watch everything that happens and then.
it's more than
Gotcha.
just a
They do
landline.
it, they have
It's
to
just
one.
I guess it did say 3,700 in there.
I'm sure that's what it is.
Well, I think the liquor store has telephone too, doesn't it?
Yep.
I mean,
And they call it.
It rings
It's
all
ringing
the
all the
time.
Oh, it does?
I'm not
Store
in there much,
line.
but every time I've been there, it's ringing.
It does.
I would just,
Throw a 12-pack in the freezer for me. I'm coming down in 10.
The principal and interest payments, those are reflective of the new payments that we have, so. That's including everything that we owe, so that's sort of the other biggest item came through. Alright, sewer, not much there, I included the $1 per meter increase.
Just keep.
anyway.
What is it?
It's Keith. I just saw some movement. I'm like,
Oh,
who's in there? He's reading meters.
So the sewer, that's pretty much, was the extra dollar per,
That's a lot.
so there's not much there, it's just pretty much a cut. There's not a lot of fuel budget really to talk about. Fees are in there, I mean, it's just basically break even type stuff there. Telephone, I'm sure Todd had a chance to run through with the committee, so there's a lot of stuff there, you guys wanna cycle through all that, but, Elaine and I spent quite a bit of time with Todd, and, you know, Todd, he's very meticulous about his budgets, and, he's not gonna spend anything, I mean, every one of these, every one of those revenue sources, he's probably made calls to whoever, he needs to talk about what's gonna happen next year, so I feel pretty, I didn't like, the only thing I did with Todd is probably look at the insurances and health insurance and stuff like that, so. He doesn't have a lot of big projects next year, that's good, because it's re-wrapping a lot.
Vehicles are 20 grand.
Oh, yeah.
You know what he's planning on with his 20,000 per vehicle?
Yeah.
He is looking to replace the 1997 Ford, which would be Tony's truck.
Yeah, he spoke to me before the meeting, he said that he couldn't afford the 20, it wasn't a big deal, but he'd like to replace the truck if he could.
I think, and he doesn't want to do what he wants, just something like,
Is that the one that's got the great big utility box?
No, that one's Aaron's, Mayor's.
What's the old one that looks like a square utility box on it?
that's probably this one.
That's the
Maybe it's,
one.
Or, it's got a lot of rust, he's had rust fixed once already, and it's starting to rust out bad, you know, Todd has to take care of his stuff, so.
This one, I think this is the one with utility boxes on the back side.
Yeah.
And I think Aaron's has the utility box topper,
Yeah,
big.
That's the one I'm talking about. That's
the box topper.
Tony's.
It's a 2-month ordeal, make sure you buy one, so you won't buy
Tony's
it.
truck.
Tony still has the red lettering on it too, or the pinkish lettering.
This is a really old.
The
Yeah.
really
Yes,
old one, yeah.
there you go.
Alright,
But no, I'm okay with that myself. And everything else that you could look at there, there's some things that move around here, and this used to be here, well, now it's moved to a different section and stuff, and for expenses and revenues, and anyhow, we got $350,000 as a transfer, and we got 200 in the reserve if we need to, otherwise we'll use it to help pay for the project, so just depends on how it goes, so that's kind of the plan there. We're actually showing a little bit of a negative, about a $6,000 loss, but we'll make sure we have that straightened out before Todd sees it, because Todd does not like to see a loss, because he's pretty concerned about it. Solid waste and garbage, we're up for bids, so we're kind of a little bit, don't really know what's going on there. Lauren's been pretty good, usually it's about $30 extra a month. And he's been doing that probably for the last 10 years, I don't know how he operates that way.
The only thing is, he's
Question, when you talk about single sort, I think I, for one, would be willing to pay more for my garbage services for single sort.
We did price that out one time.
Picked up at the street.
I don't think Lauren wanted to do it, did he?
Lauren did not want to.
Lauren didn't want to do it. The other guy came in, his bid was 380 some, and Lauren's was 180 some, so it was almost $200,000 more, so your garbage bill would have doubled. And that's been 3 or 6 years
That was
ago.
Novak, if I remember
It
right.
was.
But you got one can and they sort everything.
Yep, they do. That's a whole other round all the way through town.
They also had chip readers on every can, so they would measure how much they were picking up from you, and then you could get credits. You could buy a Novak hat or something off their website. Like, okay, who cares about that? But,
Like,
But-
you don't want the garbage guy or what?
no, I'm fine with it, but I would recycle more if there was more convenient water.
You'd save a little bit of money, some tipping fees as long as people did it.
Right.
Was tipping $48 a ton, does that sound about right now?
I don't know what the general citizens would want to double their garbage fees.
What's that?
I don't think the general citizens would want to double their garbage fees.
We got recycling, we actually do recycle curbside a couple times a month still.
So, like in the city of Sioux Falls, people just contact whoever they want for their garbage service.
This was so much cheaper though, for-
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it so that.
We don't have
We don't have.
We don't have $7 trucks driving around, destroying our streets in the middle
Yeah.
of March and April, when the streets are
People
soft.
stop by the garbage, you know, home, like,
This way everyone has to have, they can charge regardless. Sure, everyone has to have garbage. Otherwise they'd be dumping it and everyone else is dumping garbage cans if they did, or else it'd be coming out to the businesses and dumping it out there.
We don't have a dumpster, community dumpster anymore, do we?
They become that though. Anyone that's got a dumpster in their alleyway. Mine was full out of the beer garden on Monday morning, completely full of construction debris.
No, they did that to you, Jerry, don't let us do that.
Don't you have cameras out there?
I do, I haven't looked at it yet, though. I just,
Look in your cameras, you can.
that one I don't have access to on my phone.
Okay.
That's a solid waste, there's not much there, we gotta bid it out, so we try to take out whatever profits. And remember, when we're taking profits out of here, we do a lot of the billing work here, we do all that hookups and read people in, all that kind of stuff. So that's what helps, it helps pay all the wages over here and wherever else what we're doing. So it's the same way on any of the other things, water or whatever it might be. So. Cable TV, that really doesn't apply much here because cable TV have their own meetings and stuff, but we kind of, it's break even. That's all we do is break even. Like a Beresford budget, they get $30,000 a year in right-of-way fees for their cable.
Charge there.
Yeah.
The lines.
Yeah. So we're not in it to make any money on the cable TV right now. We're just trying to provide a service is all it is. So when you talk to people and say that they're going to go to Dish or DirecTV, Todd typically doesn't really, he's not going to push the issue too hard. We don't make any money on it anyhow. And most of it's because we're charging these, your local channels are charging almost $20 a month now just to the city for retransmitting them on our system. So that's where a lot of that cost is coming from. And $20, we never used to have to pay that. So like Todd said, we'd be better off just selling a high definition antenna and helping install it for charge on $3 or $4 a month to maintain it. We should make some money that way. That's kind of where you're at right now. Like I said, it's the golf course. There we go. Golf course stuff. I think we need to get together with our committees on this one. As I was going through this and looking at all the numbers, quite a bit of time here the last couple of days on this. It doesn't look real solid right now. We're showing about $160,000 loss, and we need to solidify some of these numbers with Ben and talk a little bit further with the committee and see what direction we want to go here. We've really had with COVID-19, it's kind of hard to really judge what this year is going to do. We do know that from this point on, obviously sales are going to probably drop considerably as the golf slows down. But you can just take those numbers and look at them. Like I said, we're not going to clean up, we're not going to make any money out there. We'd always hope that we'd be able to get down less than $100,000 loss a year. And right now we're quite a bit above that again. So.
And there's no plan to do Thursday night meetings, is that correct?
Well, unless they want to do it like they did before, I don't think Ben and his staff are not going to cook them, I don't think.
But you know, that's gonna add $10,000 in revenue for the year, or profit after expenses and wages, and that's not gonna be a huge deal.
Right, but I'm just looking at food sales are obviously down because of COVID, but we also did not do a distinguished Thursday night meal either.
We ran all those numbers one other time, so we can pull them back out and take a look at our costs. It seemed like our costs were fairly significant, if we remember right. So
Is that include the bathroom, 165 minus, or that's without the bathroom?
South without the bathroom. We're going to do the bathroom in the general fund.
Here goes your pay raise, Jerry. You gotta get that bathroom.
Committee's probably gonna be.
I think we could sit here all night long with this thing, and I think the committee just needs to sit down and
Has
go
Ben
through it.
given any input to this?
Yeah, he pretty much put it all together. So I changed some numbers on it there because his liquor and beer stuff was way off. I mean, it was 50% cost of beer and 60% cost of liquor. I said that don't fly. So I readjusted some of those numbers, but
This is with moving some of Greg's wages over, splitting it with parks. And it
you
was
can see
still
the labor there on the bridge outside maintenance went from 61,000, we left it down to 35,000.
And we have a furnace that's going out.
We do. That'll have to be replaced this year, we can't wait on that. We do have a insurance that covers some of that, if it's at sudden,
What's the beverage cart?
Didn't he rent one of them? We need to talk to him a little bit about it, 'cause I told him, just get a hold of these guys for probably $100 a month, you can rent one, just like you do a cart. They'd bring it over, and I thought they brought one over for him for like $100 a month, rather than us investing 7,000 or 8,000 into a new one. This way you get a new one every 3 years, and
And this new pump, is that for
What's
the
the,
house?
yeah, what's the new cost?
it's gonna be just as a replacement, because he's afraid those pumps are now 15 years old. They just built in
He says we
2000.
have two, want to replace one a year, get one on hand in case malfunction.
Irrigation pumps, is that what it is?
Yeah, this is a big pumps for the whole system there.
That beverage cart,
Why is it under office?
Rob Meyer showed me a picture.
Operating.
Yeah, a brand new, either it's rented or leased or bought, but I saw the picture, it's brand new.
What is-
Yeah, it was a real nice one.
Yeah, I
I
thought
thought
they
they
had
were
one.
leased and what they asked
I
for.
guess I would just, that's why we need to get back in touch with them a little bit on some of this, 'cause we didn't have we haven't had a chance to really talk too much about it. But then when I started going through it, this is more of a committee meeting type of thing, so we'll all be on the same page.
A little piece of going next week.
And by the way, he was looking for a 9% increase in his wages too.
You did what?
So,
When he put his wages together, it was a 9% increase, he actually filled that in. I went back to 2.5%.
so what's the difference from 2015 until now in the revenue? What happened? I'm just looking at on sale beer. It's way down.
You're looking in the clubhouse or in the bridges?
So
event
just
center?
from like 2015 until 2019, you look at those numbers, they're down 13,000, down 6. I'm over in golf course revenue, clubhouse revenue.
Clubhouse, okay.
People don't drink enough beer.
Food was actually up a little last year.
Merchandise is down.
But you look at the overall number, I mean, you're at 394. 384 wasn't terrible. These are actuals, this 2019, 18, 17, right?
Yep.
So why are we 2020 budget 350, but it's a COVID year, it's kind of goofy. Why are we budgeting less? You think the trend is it's gonna keep going down?
So I need to get in touch with him, I didn't talk to him too much about some of those numbers, I just readjusted the expense side of it. That's when I started looking at these numbers, it's about boy. I'm hoping all those numbers go up. In 2019, we did $89,000.
The
Beer
food and the
sales.
on-sale beer needs to go back up. I mean, can be optimistic that it's gonna be a
We
better
should be
year.
easily in that $100,000 area, I think. Yeah, but a
It's
year.
a city council meeting.
As hot as it's been.
Will be before the 7th or?
Last weekend was a good weekend at the golf course.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Not the 7th and 8th.
The,
I mean, one thing this year, they didn't have any tournaments.
No, I mean, you got 2 months there, we didn't have to put it
No,
No.
It started slow.
You didn't let anyone in the club, you didn't let anyone in the clubhouse for 2 months.
Yeah, I think it's-
No tournaments, no weddings, no events.
Oh,
So,
the 8th
I mean,
is,
would all the beer, like for weddings and stuff like that, come out of that? Or would they come out of the event center home?
But we didn't have any events.
I'm on the first.
But I think when you have a wedding, there's like a group that goes to the
oh
bar
yeah, it
side.
spills
Oh, I
over,
see.
it spills over to the clubhouse.
So if it was sold in the clubhouse, it's on that, but if it was sold in that little temporary bar in the event center, they put it on that?
Yep.
Gotcha.
There's 2 cash registers.
Thank you.
Yeah, when we had the reception, there was a lot of those guys go golfing on Fridays too, and they spend a lot of money out there.
Yeah, we've only sold $2,100 in beer. Events.
That's one party lot.
Can you find out from Ben, by like the next meeting, how many rounds of golf was registered this year compared to last year? Because if we've got, it's been pretty busy out there, I think, golfing. And if our rounds of golf are similar, it may just be the fact that you couldn't purchase anything basically in the clubhouse channels.
Right.
So you lost.
Do they include the rounds of golf for tournaments in those
Yeah.
rounds? Okay, that's all in
My
there.
understanding last year he was doing,
Yeah, all the numbers, yeah.
because we had like 11,000 some odd rounds last year. And if we're showing something close to that, try to.
You know, and I know he's trying to price these things as best he can for the city. I know he's just talked to him about fundraiser for, the trade show, or no, I think this was for the state youth stuff. I mean, I think he was gonna charge $20 for a golfer for the golf. And then he was, and he said if the revenue came in a little bit better on the beer side and stuff, he'd get him down to 8%. That was the kind of deal he did there, so I can't remember what 18 holes of golf for the guys. But most of those guys are members, so.
Right.
So the members are put golf free, but now they're paying for golf, so we got money out of it for that.
You guys have the 40s.
Well, that's pretty much it. So next, unless you guys think we need another meeting between now and our regular meeting, we'll have, we can't make a ton of changes out of it. I think we've got just what we have for the general fund. That's what we're gonna operate off of the next time. So I'll make the changes that we have talked about here, and the rest of them, you know, as far as, we'll update all of them. We don't have to get those finalized. The biggest thing is we just need to make sure we have enough revenue from each of those sources so we can do our transfers.
When do we start meeting with the union?
They got the letter today, so as soon as you guys are ready to roll.
Need a copy of last year's.
I can email it to you.
We'll send you the letter that we got.
Committee, it's Mike,
It's me.
it's you and me,
Yeah.
and who's the third one?
I think it's Mike.
I think it's my, yeah. Steve used to be on there.
Okay.
We had them all last time.
That's gonna be hard for him to make it.
Liquor store is
I'll probably be there.
finance committee, which is me and Teresa and Mike, correct?
Golf course?
No, golf course is me, Troy.
No, finance committee, liquor
Finance,
store,
yes.
phone, is you and I and Mike, right?
Are you on the union? Mike, what? Are you on the union?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not, I don't know, but I don't wanna waste the whole weekend.
Labor negotiation.
I'll probably take off.
And I doubt that we will come in on the 7th.
Yeah, I've got it.
I went last year.
Sorry, Art.
So does anyone else other than Troy want the copy?
After the city council meeting.
The union agrees and the.
The letter from the.
If it's the 8th, we can meet at 3. Before the
So
meeting.
you were gonna send us last year's.
I sent you that, didn't I?
You know, 3.
You got a copy of the letter, right? It's in the
We'll
3:30.
schedule something.
They have the same thing.
It's
Yeah, that's what I was,
They have.
Yes, the letter that
It's
they
Tuesday, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, schedule something, maybe around 3:30, you know.
Tom Freeman got the copy.
Troy, are you able to, sorry, we'll do that.
Alright.
Anybody have any questions about the budget?
Question what?
About the budget?
I'm kinda agreeing with Troy. I think we can do this Lewis and Clark thing by the end of the year if we get rid of that interest. And then we're gonna meet with Ben. I'm not too happy with him putting in 9%, you know, for the committee. We gotta discuss that.
That'll be a review.
Every year you got a $5,000 increase.
That'll be a review.
Why wouldn't you ask for it?
Well, that's during
We'll have a good year with him in there, but unfortunately it's COVID year, so it's gonna be awful hard. But what would have it been if we didn't have COVID?
I mean, what's our deficit in the golf course? We've been running about 35,000 better than the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
Right.
Yeah, I thought we were doing pretty well.
But then we're at the
You
end of
throw 25,000 in there, that's a big number.
But I mean,
We
compared
got
to
one more year.
previous years, we're still like 35 ahead.
We've only got one more year, I should have told you, payments all over equipment too, so of course that means that the next thing will be the sand thrower or something else will have to be replaced.
And the question the committee, I think, is gonna have to address is how we're gonna operate the golf course in the fall and winter time. That's what always comes up.
Yep.
Whether it's the meals, whether it's the hours, whether it's. Because after mid-September, the revenue
Yeah, tumbles 50.
quickly.
It needs to cater towards the school events. Those people are right there.
I thought last year, the Thursday night meals after the normal golf season ended, I thought the Thursday night meals was a success for him, I thought.
Well, it wasn't so much that, they didn't want to do them anymore. Well, we did a few of them ourselves, but Ben didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
B&T,
B&T.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I thought you were talking
No,
Ben,
they
the
quit.
manager.
yeah.
No.
We did a few of them after
I'm
that.
confused there. then I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Ben Fowler did the half dozen maybe?
Yeah, and
I
then
think
we tried to do them on our own, but it was stuff that wasn't,
Right.
that crowd wants a,
Mike's stuff workshop.
yeah, Mike's stuff, pork chops or that stuff.
I thought you meant that, you said Ben didn't want to do it, I thought you were talking
No,
Ben
right.
manager.
No, we opened up. Staff all wanted to open up, obviously, but it just didn't seem like it really went that well.
Other questions?
Good job, thanks for making it.
Is there no one else with business before the council? Meeting is adjourned.
There you go.
I want to have to spend $10 million.
It's one of them days. So my wife's grandfather passed away